Hi everyone, my name is Hope Friedman and I am the writer of the Go-To Guide for Empowering Our Youth. This is my second webinar. It is on confidence. If you watched my last seminar, that was on kindness. If you already watched that, we're going to be going through the same exact things that were in the first video. So I will be talking about who I am again. I will talk about what will be discussed. I'm going to be talking about a lot of things that are going to be repeated. So if you want to skip the first 15 minutes and just go to the content, go ahead. And I just want to say I'm going to try to be fluid and not read off of the words that I wrote previously, so it can be kind of a face-to-face type of thing, very in the moment. And I hope you learn a little bit more about my book and about me through the process. So let's begin. To talk a little bit about who I am, and my purpose for this video. So as I said before, my name is Hope Friedman. I am a high school student right now and actively participate in Girl Scouts. If you don't know what that is, it's an organization similar to Boy Scouts that empowers young girls and teaches them to be independent and leaders, among a bunch of other things. To begin the process for your gold award, you need to obtain the bronze and silver award, but there are some other ways of obtaining it, so I'll discuss that later. The most important thing to know right now is that it's the highest honor a Girl Scout can be awarded, and it's what my book was written for, in a way. A little bit more about me, though. I love helping my community outside of Girl Scouts. I'll kill two birds with one stone right now, so I'll let you know that I have a website advocating for equal medical access, which is just another community I love to help, the medical community. Hopefully in the future I can continue to be a part of it, but the website is called equalmedicalaccess.org, and I would love if you check it out there and show some support. But some other things about me, though. I love helping my school community when I tutor and I show support through honor societies and volunteer work. And then last but not least, as I stated before, I'm a Girl Scout. I'm part of the Girl Scout community. It's something I actively strive to help, and I lean on it for support. So let's get into some technical things. Over here in the corner, I have a cover for my book and how it will look like when you search it up on Apple Books. It's currently only on Apple Books. It's free, but hopefully in the future it will be on some other prominent sites like maybe Barnes & Noble, Overdrive, Libby, sites like those. But it will be free no matter what. So maybe in the future it will be on just the internet as a PDF, something like that, because my intentions were always for it to be free, so there's no point in me uploading it to a site that's going to charge. So that is a future situation, though. For the book, I wrote down some important factors for writing the book and features about it. First, my main goal was always empowering children. But what's special about my book is that it's not directed towards the kids. It's directed towards their parents, but also just educators and people who work with kids. You may also say that there's guides all over the internet, and while yes, that's true, this was written with children in mind because I am a child. I tried using my experiences to guide the book, which is also why in every chapter I wrote about my thoughts and opinions so that adults can understand from the eyes of a child what it's like to experience these traits and how it feels to learn about it. Next, I want to embrace all emotions. As I wrote in the introduction, this is a direct quote from the last sentence of the introduction. This book isn't here to force traits onto children. It's here to bring out what's already inside and let it shine. And that is truly my intentions. All kids have emotions, and I want to show adults how to bring it out of them. The next bullet is also connected a little bit because it's not about forcing it onto child, but just like in school, there needs to be a basis of where they start. So you need to teach them. For example, I was talking to my cousin, and he was telling me how he didn't know the difference between empathy and sympathy. In this case, I taught him the difference and showed him the correct ways to show it. I didn't just force it on him and tell him to do this. My next bullet is inclusivity, and the other one is accessibility. These go hand in hand to me. My book can be used for all types of people. It's not just for parents. It's also for educators. It's for troop leaders, people who want to learn more about children. Maybe they are a child and they want to know about younger children, or they want to know how they learn, or maybe they're just someone who works with children in general or wants to learn more information. And my book is also on Apple Books. I think in today's world, everyone either owns an Apple, a MacBook, or a phone, something like that. It's very accessible to access it, and it's also free. So I think that's a really big bonus. And like I said before, my intention was never to make someone pay for this. I've always wanted to make it a free resource. So I hopefully in the future will create maybe a PDF or something maybe posted on here that allows you to read it for free in different places to make it even more accessible. Okay. In the book, I go through 8 main chapters. Of course, I started and ended with an introduction and conclusion, but as for the traits I talk about, it's as follows. So, kindness, confidence, empathy and sympathy, leadership, being an upstander, communication, gratitude, and honesty. I'll talk about a little bit more what will be discussed in the next slide, but for right now, this webinar is on confidence, and the last one was on kindness. So I'm sure you can predict the next one will be on empathy and sympathy, and then so forth. Personally, my favorite chapters in terms of writing was leadership, because leadership has always been a big thing for me as a Girl Scout, but someone who just strives to show leadership in my everyday life. And I think something that goes along with that is being an upstander. Being an upstander and being a leader is very related. To be a leader, you need to be an upstander, and to be an upstander, you need to be a leader. So I think they are really my favorite in terms of writing, but also just displaying them in my everyday life. Okay. So I want to talk about what will be discussed in these webinars. I'm not sure if you can consider it a webinar because it's not live, but it will be live soon, so look out for that. And for right now, I'll talk about what is already going to be laid out in this presentation. So each day I will have a new chapter discussed. This is something I talked about earlier. Yesterday's or last videos was kindness, today's confidence, so on. And that's how it will be for the next 6 videos, I guess. I will do an overview and a book reading. So in the middle of the presentation, after I get done with the routine stuff that I do in every single one, I will go into more of a lengthy reading where it will be very content based on my book specifically, a lot of direct quotes. So it will be very word for word, but a lot of it will be still left in the book, so you can explore it yourself, go back, read it again, read more about it. So it won't be exactly word for word, but there will be a lot of content from the book. And there will be spread out, there will be stories and personal thoughts throughout, so it won't just be just the book, it will be what I think too. And then towards the end, I'll talk about the writing process and my why. So if anyone was thinking about publishing a book but they don't know where to start, or they are having trouble and they want support and they want to know where to find resources, I am going to share all about that towards the end. And then my why, of course, why I decided to write the book, what my goal was, and everything like that. Talk about Girl Scouts and my overall journey. Girl Scouts has been with me for almost 10 years, and it's not coming towards an end, but it's definitely coming towards the last few years. I'll say it like that. So I want to just talk about it a little bit more. Maybe you're interested in Girl Scouts. You want to know what my experience was like. I'll share all of that later too. And then throughout the presentation, there'll be fun and personal stories just sprinkled in. Hopefully it'll keep it more entertaining, learn more about me, my book, and can teach you a little bit more. Okay, so as I said, today's chapter is confidence. This is a direct quote taken from the book, the first line of the second chapter. So, definition: a feeling of consciousness of one's power or of reliance on one's circumstances. If you go through and read the book, you'll notice that I wrote other people's opinions and definitions from friends, family, and basically anyone who wanted to help me in the process. I'll talk about this later, but it's important to find a group of people who's willing to help you and be there to support you while you're writing. But in terms of why I included this, it's learning what a 5-year-old knows about confidence and what a 10-year-old knows about confidence is very different. They learn in different ways, they understand it different ways. And so it's important to I included a bunch of different ages from 10 to 50. There are a bunch of different definitions that I included of what other people think of confidence, because again, it's not just one definition. There's so many different ways to interpret it. There's so many different ways to understand and feel it. So I made sure to include a lot of information about, in every chapter, not just this one, about how other people interpret it. And so you can read more about that in the book itself, but this is what I included. I just think that this definition itself is a little bit wordy. It's a little bit lengthy, so it's not just like meant for one person. It's not meant to be. It's meant to be just there to have a broad understanding. But what I suggest to do is ask your child, ask whoever you're talking to what they think is confidence, if they know what it is, maybe why they think it's important, and then take it from there. And I have more prompts later on about how to ask your child this and what are some good questions, questions like that are perfect for getting the conversation started. So next, I wrote about what it is and why it's important, just to clarify for the reader and make it really clear what I'm trying to get across. I'll read it, but just make sure to take it with a grain of salt because, like I said before, everyone's different. Everyone can have different meanings for different words. So this is just what I got and what I know from my experiences. But again, a 10-year-old learns different than a 50-year-old, so it's very important to do your own research a little bit, ask the person you're talking to. But this is what I have gained. So confidence is important because it affects pretty much everything you do. When you're confident, you're more likely to try new things, speak your mind, and go after what you really want. You're not stuck overthinking or second-guessing yourself every time you make a move. It doesn't mean you think you're perfect. It just means you believe in your ability to figure things out. Confidence also helps you deal with failure better. Instead of giving up right away or feeling like you're not good enough, you see mistakes as something to learn from. You keep going because deep down you trust that you can grow and improve. For kids, confidence matters even more. When children feel good about themselves, they're more open to learning and exploring the world around them. They're more likely to speak up in class, make friends, and try out new activities without being scared of messing up. It builds a strong foundation early on so they can handle challenges as they grow up, and it helps them build healthy self-esteem that sticks with them later in life. So that was my explanation for what I think confidence is, but later on I have another section called my thoughts and experiences where I talk even more about what I think of when I think of confidence. Okay. My next subcategory that's in every chapter is how do we teach it? This is a really important part of each chapter because I think it's the foundation of how the child will learn a skill or enforce it more if they already know what it is. I'll read it directly from the book, but this is by no means the only thing that can be asked. There are so many questions. These are just some ideas to get the conversation started. Teaching confidence is an important base for childhood development. Below are some conversation starters and topics to discuss with children who seem weary on how to be confident and why it's important. 3 to 5 years old. At this age, the most important thing to do is teach basic self-awareness and self-love. Ask them, what makes you special? Encourage them to try new things and continue even when it's difficult. Encourage saying kind words and positive things to themselves. Some more questions. What's something you're really good at? Can you tell me about a time you were brave? How do you feel when you finish something by yourself? What do you say to yourself when something is tricky? For 6 to 8 year old, this is the age to encourage self-expression and problem solving. Ask them, what do you do when you make a mistake? How do you help a friend who feels nervous? What's something new you want to try, even if it's a little scary? What are 3 things you like about yourself? 9 to 11 year olds, at this age, it's important to develop identity and personal responsibility. Ask them, what would you do if someone made fun of your clothes? Can you think of a time you felt proud of yourself? Why? What makes someone a confident person? Have you ever felt nervous to speak up? What helped? 12 to 18 year olds. In this age range, the child is growing up and getting ready to prepare for the real world, with jobs and important interactions. We want to prepare them for real world confidence and decision making. Ask them, how do you feel about how people see you online? Can you be confident and still ask for help? Why or why not? Who's someone you think is confident, and what makes you think that? What's the difference between being confident and being arrogant? Have you ever made a choice that felt risky but right? For confidence, I included more questions than prompts because I think for this trait it's easier to start with a conversation. Confidence has a lot to do with how you feel internally, and it's not always something you can identify just by looking at someone. So it's important to instill it early and make it a conversation for the child that the child is comfortable having. That's all I wrote, but again, that was a lot. It's not, you can always, again, go to the book, download it, take ideas from the questions. They're not meant to be something you're supposed to have word for word. It's supposed to be a conversation. Just bring up confidence, maybe talk about it a little bit lightly, assess it. It's not always just how do we teach it, but this section is not just how do we teach it. It's more about where is your child at? Do they know what confidence is? Do they know certain aspects of it but not others? So I think it's important to just assess it in this section, and then the next page I have some things to really enforce it, to talk about it more. So we'll get into that now. So how to encourage and foster it. So after you talk about how to assessing it, after you talk about what they think it is, do they know more about self-confidence but not about how to show it? Or that's not the best example, but there are so many things you can ask and talk to them about. So here are just a few activities. These aren't the only ones, but there are a lot of activities online. These are just some of them that I included, and I even have more in my book if you want to check that out. So I started off with art journaling, which is having kids draw or write about what makes them proud. I love this one. It is really just a fun activity, but when they see other children around them having writing about things that they like, they might feel see that they have similar interests, maybe build their confidence up. And next I put, what would you do? What would you do? Create scenarios where they practice speaking up or making decisions. This was based off of the show, What Would You Do, if you know that one. It's not, some of the episodes are definitely not appropriate for children, so I would not recommend showing the show, but it's a great idea just for putting on a skit, putting on a made-up scenario, seeing what they would do, making it a fun activity, and just like seeing what they would do, and maybe correct them, say why, maybe ask them how they're feeling, see, I don't know, that's not, it can be geared towards really anything, it doesn't have to be just confidence, but that's what I think it most resonates with. So I think it's definitely a fun activity, and maybe even go through and see if you really want to show the show, see what episodes are appropriate, because there are a few, and they could be really fun and entertaining for them. Next is mirror affirmations. Say things like, I am brave, or I can do hard things together in the mirror. I've seen this online a lot, definitely, and I talk about it more in my, in another section, so I'll talk about that more later. Next is confidence collage. Use pictures and words from magazines that show their strengths. This is very similar to art journaling. It can make them feel seen, help them relate to other kids, and it's just a fun activity, and they're allowed to get messy and have fun with it, so I think that's really important to show them that they're able to show who they truly are and create things that they want to create. Okay, so in this section, how to foster and encourage it, in the book, there is 3 subcategories, I guess. It is first the activities, which is what I just explained. Then it's some books, and then it's resources. This is the same for every single chapter. And again, if you came from the kindness video, it is very similar, and it is basically very similar formats. So next I have the books. This is geared towards younger children, definitely. I think you can find so many books online, though. It doesn't have to be just these books. There are so many. Read online reviews, talk to other parents and other educators, see what they're giving their children to read, and there are so many great books. So here are just some of the ones that I have read, have seen great reviews on, or just really think go well with teaching confidence. So first is Drafts Can't Dance by Gillies Andrea. If I said that right, I'm sorry. I read this when I was younger. It really stuck with me. I've read it multiple times. It's not just like a one and done situation. I've read it a lot. It's just really a great book to read. Next is I Like Myself by Karen Beaumont. I haven't read this one. I haven't read a bunch of these except for maybe 2 or 3. But again, based off parent reviews, very good books. And again, do some research for yourself. Maybe read it first. Maybe look at the reviews first. Don't just give it to your child because maybe it's not something you don't want to teach them about yet. Or maybe it's something that they won't understand yet for their age range. So make sure it's appropriate in that sense, definitely. Next is Marvelous Me, Inside and Out by Lisa Bullard. Again, another great book. Just As You Are by Michelle Skeen and Kelly Skeen. This one, I believe, it's a teen's guide to self-acceptance and lasting self-esteem. This is, again, like it says, for teens. One of the only books, really, I put in this section that is for teenagers. But there are, again, so many online. So many. Next is I Can Do Hard Things by Gabby Garcia. Just another great book that is great for teaching confidence. Again, I've said it many times, but there are so many online. So many. Just, you can even go to your local Barnes & Noble, talk to them, ask them, hey, I'm looking for a book that shows kindness that teaches confidence for a 7-year-old, and they'll most likely be able to guide you. But if you do have any other questions, you want to talk to me and you want to see, like, I want some more activities, I want some more books, I'd be happy to help. And I will be putting in my email in the description so you can, if you have any questions, no matter what, Girl Scouts, writing process, anything, I'll talk about this more later, but you can talk to me about anything. Next, like I said before, the resources. I'll start with the first one, 0 to 3. The website is 0to3.org. This is, as you can probably guess, for 0 to 3-year-olds. It is for building confidence just in younger children, but there are a lot of great resources on there. Definitely recommend it if you have a younger child. I'm sure you can probably continue it as they age, maybe use other resources too, which I always recommend. And again, more resources online, just do some research. But these are the great ones I found for different types of children. So that one's for 0 to 3. Next is understood.org. I couldn't get the logo, but that is, you can check out the site for yourself. It's more for children with disabilities. So if your child has a learning disability, like ADHD, OCD, those are not learning disabilities, but, or just a disability in general, anything along those lines, they have great resources for that. And you can click what your child has, and it can give you activities and things to have your child learn about to build confidence. And they have other resources too, not just for confidence. There are a lot of resources. And then next, PBS Parent. If you watch the kindness video, you know how much I love PBS Parent. There are activity guides, so many resources, there's videos, there's so much stuff, not just for confidence, not just for kindness, there is so many resources, so I definitely recommend it. Yeah, definitely check these out. Again, so many more online. And honestly, you can even just go to your local Facebook group. You can go to really anywhere. TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, so many resources. Okay. And also, there's not just books and websites or activities. You can listen to podcasts. You can listen to so many other things. Okay. Next, in every single chapter, I put in a personal thought section. It really just talks about how what I think about I keep saying kindness. What I think about confidence, how it resonates to me, how I learned about it. It's different for every section, so it might not be those exact things, but it's really something that's unique to my book, I think. And I think it's very helpful, hopefully, for other people. But I'll read it word for word, what I wrote down in the book. Okay. To me, confidence means feeling strong in your body. In today's world, so many children are learning to be self-conscious of how they act or how they feel. This doesn't stem from childhood, but instead from the environment. It doesn't have to be like this, though. By instilling behaviors and thoughts into the child, they will in turn feel more confident as they grow older. Confidence is so important. You need it for interviews, talking to adults or colleges, succeeding in school and in the workplace, and living a healthy and satisfied life. It's very obvious as a teenager which children are confident and not. This doesn't have to do with how loud they are or how mature they seem, but instead how they think, whether it's positive or negative, or how they talk about themselves. And it's hard to change these habits as they grow older. My favorite activity for children, and I think of to be the most effective, is the positive mantras. Whether it's in school or in a club, mantras can be said anywhere. Repeating simple phrases like I am strong or I can do it can build their confidence and prepare them to tackle whatever challenges they might have. I have seen teachers telling their classes to repeat after them and say phrases like these, and while it may seem silly to them at first, you can really see the difference. It also teaches them some coping mechanisms, when they are stressed and feel like they don't have control over the situation, they can repeat those phrases and feel a sense of security and self-worth. To me, confidence is the most important out of all the traits in a child. Being confident builds on so many other traits and creates a foundation for the child to succeed. That's everything I wrote for the personal thoughts, but there is, again, so much more to be said, but that is what I have when I write down. Okay, so let's talk writing. So, there are a lot of questions that I just want to talk about and things to discuss when you are thinking about writing a book. So first is how long. There are a lot of how longs, but I'll go through a few of them. So, how long did it take me to write the book? So, I'll talk about more later about the Girl Scouts and how the process for that, but the in total, with before even starting to write down words on a page and getting ideas and stuff like that, it took me about a year and a half, maybe 2 years, to really fully get everything in one place. And it wasn't originally, my plan wasn't originally going to be writing about just overall children. It was going to be about something more broad. But after talking to a lot of people, I wanted to, it's going to be more narrow towards Girl Scouts. But after talking to a lot of people, I decided I want to make it more broad. I want to talk about just all children, not just girls, and not just Girl Scouts. So I think it's really important, and that goes along with my next bullet, others' opinions, but I'll get to that in a second. So next is, how long is the book? How long should the book be? My book in particular is about 85 pages. I think this is a good amount, but if you are writing a book like mine, where you can skip around, because that was always my idea, it's not a book you have to read in order, it's a book you can just learn about confidence if you just want to learn about confidence, or just learn about honesty if you just want to learn about honesty, or maybe you just want to learn about some definitions. You can do that. And so it was created with that in mind. So really, no matter how long it was always going to be simpler, because you don't have to go through page by page and read it. So if you are going to do something like that, it can really be any amount of pages. But if you want to write something for younger children, maybe a picture book, you don't want to write it 100 pages long. It's just not ideal. No child is going to sit for that long. No child wants to read a book that long. But if you're writing it for maybe a 12-year-old and like a chapter book, then maybe 100 or 150 would be ideal. So it's really just figuring out who the audience is and how long do you think it should be. And honestly, this kind of goes along with others' opinions, because you need to get others' opinions. You need to talk to other people, talk to children if you want to see, or talk to parents if you want to write a book for children and see, like, would your child sit if I gave them a 50-page book? And it really depends on the age. So talk to others, have a group that is able to support you and be with you and make you supported throughout the process and support you through the process. And it's really important to just have that strong group of people, and you can rely on them for questions. I know I had, in each chapter, I put a lot of definitions from different age groups, and I really had to rely on friends and family to be there to put in some definitions in the book. So it's really important just to have people to rely on. And like I said, you need people to ask, like, how long should the book be? Or maybe support you through the long writing days where it might take you a year and it might be frustrating. So it's always important, get others' opinions, talk about it, see what would be ideal, all that sort of stuff. Next, getting the word across. So for me, getting the word across is what I'm doing right now. I'm making videos and sharing each chapter in detail of how I wrote it, why I wrote it, all sorts of stuff. That's, to me, getting the word across. But I also shared it on Facebook. I shared it on Instagram. I told my friends and family to share it. I shared it to them. And really, it's going small and getting bigger, because if you start really big, it's going to be harder to do those small steps. You're going to think, oh, I have to get it to 100 likes, or something likes, but 100 reviews or something, and you're not thinking of, well, there needs to be one review at a time. It can't just be 100 reviews. You have to get it one at a time, one step each day at a time. It's not going to all just happen in a day or in a few months. It's going to be a process, and I think that's what's really important, and that's why you need other people to help you through the process. But getting the word across is so important in terms of having other people read your book and discuss it, because this isn't just a thing you wrote, it's something you want other people to know about. So it's very important to get the word across. You can make a TikTok account, YouTube, Instagram, social media really in general. Apple, even just like publishing it on sites like Apple Books or Amazon, they love to get your word across and share it via that. So that's really important. Next, the publishing process. The publishing process is, for me, wasn't too difficult. So I wrote my book on something called Apple Pages, or just Pages, but it's through Apple. And it made it very easy to publish my book straight to Apple Books. Apple Books is a separate website, app, but they're very connected because they're both Apple apps. So I'll talk about Apple Books real quickly, but in order to publish your book to Apple Books, all you needed was like a PDF of the book, a sample, and a cover page. That was it. You just needed those 3 things, uploaded it, and then it took about 72 hours for them to approve it. And I will say, I accidentally published it twice, and their team was great with assisting me in how to take the other one off the market, because I did not want to publish 2. So their team is very good. It's very easy to work with. And for someone like me who wanted to publish my book for free, they don't make you put in any payment information. They don't make you pay to put your book up. They don't make you put in any information to get money, because I'm not getting any money. So there's really no point in doing that. I know for some other sites, they might make you pay a fee to put it on their website, or pay a fee when someone else takes it out. I'm not exactly sure, but I just know for Apple Books it was very easy. For Pages, I don't know if you can use Apple Pages on like a Dell or Microsoft. I really don't know. I just know that it's on Apple. So I'm sure there are so many sites you can write it on. There are probably plenty, but I'm just saying what I used was very simple, and you can use Apple Pages to publish it onto other books, because it's not like a direct thing. They just give you the 3 things you need, which is the sample, the whole PDF of the book, and the cover page, and it's super simple. So really recommend that, but you can publish it really anywhere, anyway, and I'm not sure exactly how it is making money, if that's difficult to get approved, but I'm just saying what I've experienced. Okay, next, Girl Scouts and Gold Award information. So I have been a Girl Scout for about 10 years now. It is coming to an end, but once you're a Girl Scout, you're never really not a Girl Scout. Girl Scouts is kind of something that sticks with you forever. The people you meet in Girl Scouts are your forever friends, and the people you'll know forever, and the lessons you take away are just something you will always remember. You always learn, and you always you'll never forget them. And for me, it's been a lot to learn in the past 10 years. I've had so much fun. My troop went from like 14 people to 4 people, and those people just really stuck with me, and all of them are really my friends, but we've all really had something to bond over. And so Girl Scouts is just an amazing experience for me. I'd recommend it for anyone going into Girl Scouts. I don't know too much about Boy Scouts. My brother was a Boy Scout for a bit, but I don't know too much about that, so you have to go to your local troop. And again, I don't know everything about Girl Scouts, so definitely go on to Girl Scouts of the USA or Girl Scouts of your local area and learn more about it that way, because I'm not the only resource. I don't know everything. I'm one person, so definitely reach out to other people if you want to know more information. But speaking on my experiences, I've just had an overall great time. And so, Gold Award information. Again, this is in no way the only like path you can go on. There are so many paths. There are so many ways to get your Gold Award. I don't know everything. Again, one person. I just sharing what I did. So, for me, I got my bronze and silver award before I got my gold award, which is what a lot of people did in my troop, or what everyone did in my troop actually. But I'm pretty sure you can go and get maybe a few journeys first. I'm not exactly sure. You'd have to look online for that. But for me, I got my bronze and silver award. So for the bronze award, we worked as a whole troop and we made something called Little Libraries, which was a leave and take kind of system, where you take a book and you leave a book. And it was really something that was big for us in the moment. We got to paint them all by ourselves. We got to teach about them and show about them, and we got to present at a PTA meeting, and it was just really a fun time, and we all got to do it together, and it was really amazing. And they are like one of the big things that Girl Scouts stresses about these awards is that it has to be sustainable. It has to be sustainable. And so the little libraries are still in my elementary school now. They don't really need upkeeping, and we have talked to the school anyways, so if there is a problem, they can fix it themselves. And that's something that's really important. For my silver award, you can work with a small group, I believe, or by yourself. I worked by myself, and I created YouTube videos just like this one, where I talked about Girl Scouts, my experience, how to become a Girl Scout, all sorts of things like that. And it was, again, very sustainable, very easy to access, and it was what made me want to make a book about Girl Scouts. Overall, I decided that I wanted to, after talking to a lot of people, I wanted to make it more general for all children, not just for Girl Scouts. But it was something that is really sustainable and was really enjoyable to make and talk about. So that was my bronze and silver award, and now I am in the process of completing my gold award. It is a lot of it is a long process. It is, but being a gold award Girl Scout is a huge honor. It is a huge honor, and it's something that really does stick with you for life. That title, Gold Award Girl Scout, it's really just a big title, and it means a lot. So there are, in terms of afterwards, there are so many things you can submit for. There are, I forgot the word again, but there are places where you can get money for college. I forgot the word, but you can apply for some of these contests to apply and get something for your college experience. And there are just a lot of good that comes with it, and it's just a really fun experience and a fun time. So this kind of goes along with my why. My why was to create the book for Girl Scouts, but it's also for myself. I think it's just a really great experience to be able to help my community and help just even broader than my community and help a lot of people. And I think that's my big why, like help people in the Girl Scouts community, parents, educators, so many people. And that was just like always my goal. So I want to talk about next. And again, any questions, you can always email me. My email is going to be in the description. Also, like, again, reach out to people around you. There are Facebook groups for Girl Scouts. There are websites. There are so many resources online to talk about what Girl Scouts is, how to join, like, all that sort of stuff is online, not just from me. So definitely, if you're interested, check that out. And maybe even Boy Scouts, because I'm not too familiar with that, but I'm sure it has great experiences as well. So let's go into the next one. So it's the Q&A session. I will read a few questions that I've gotten about the confidence section, a chapter, some writing questions, just overall questions. I have 5 for today. But if you have any questions, again, email, comments, there are lots of ways to reach out to me. And again, if you are coming from the kindness section or you want to go to the kindness section, you're watching this one first and you want to watch that one next, you might want to skip through to past the first 15 minutes or so just to go to the content, unless you really want to watch about me again. I don't know. But no video will be exactly the same, so whatever I just said about the Girl Scouts and the writing process is different for every video, but the gist is really the same. So, okay, let's talk about the Q&A. What inspired you to write about confidence in the first place? This is a great question. I talked about this a little bit in the last video. Originally, before I started the writing process, I put out a questionnaire to a lot of people in Girl Scouts, but also just parents, educators, a lot of people via Facebook. And I asked them, like, what are some traits that you think children are maybe lacking today, they don't know a lot about, or they need to know more about, or just important in general for them to know. And the first one was kindness. And then with like a tie for like confidence and something else, maybe leadership. But either way, because so many people put confidence, I thought it was a great thing to talk about. And I think in general, confidence is just really important. Not just because everyone said it was, but because I think it is too. I think confidence is really important overall for like how a child just grows up, and it really does stick with someone. It's not just like you learn about it now. It's something that really just goes, even I said this earlier, but like it goes on through the workplace, like finding colleges, through college, finding a career, interviews. There are so many things you need confidence for. And you can really tell. You can really tell if someone's confident. Okay, next question. Did your own confidence grow while writing about it? Honestly, like, did my confidence grow is a very hard question to answer, because I felt like I was already pretty confident beforehand, but just being able to share my experiences did help me feel more confident in what I'm writing and how I'm displaying myself to through the book. But I did learn, like, there is a lot of things that I learned about, more ways that people show confidence, how to be confident, how to, like, there are so many things I learned about confidence that like did help me in the long term grow my confidence. So writing about it in general didn't grow my confidence, but learning about what it is and what other people think it is definitely helped me my understanding of confidence. What was the hardest part about writing the confidence section? The hardest part about writing the confidence section was probably the probably how to the how to teach it section. Probably the activities in general, they were harder to come up with because confidence is one of those harder things to teach as an activity. It's more of a conversation. Of course, I shared a lot of activities like affirmations and skits, and those are very big and very important, but it's very hard to come up with new activities that are engaging and fun. And honestly, it's hard in every section to come up with activities that are fun and hard, and actually teach the activity themselves. But yeah, that was definitely the hardest section for a lot of the chapters, but specifically this one. Okay, next we got, if you rewrote this section later, what would you add or change? I'd probably add more to the how do we teach it section, because I think the how do we teach it section for this chapter at least was very focused on assessing it and seeing how they know it before the how to encourage and foster it, because that's really how to teach it. So maybe I would change a little bit about the wording, about it's not really how to teach it, but more how to understand what they think confidence is. But really, I think for the most part, the content itself was really all the same. Really, all just like the same thing. Okay, last question is, how did you make sure your message would connect with your audience? Well, my audience is really parents, educators, people who work with children. I just made sure that it was honest. It was really what I thought confidence is. And I I think in order to connect with them, I used experiences from what I know. And I think that's what's the best part about it. I just made it really transparent how I think confidence is, how I think we should teach it. And I think that's how I made sure to connect the message to connect with my audience. Like, I just made sure to be honest and tell them that's how I truly feel about it and how to teach it. But again, by no means is it the only way to teach it. There are so many ways to teach confidence. There are so many different ways to interpret it. And my way is not just the only way, but it's a way that I was taught and I learned and thought was really important. Okay, so last slide is the thank you slide. I want to thank you for paying attention, listening to what I have to say. This is my second webinar, so my first one was on kindness. I definitely recommend checking that out if you want to learn more about that. Again, my book is on Apple Books it's on Apple Books for free. Again, hopefully in the future it's on more, but right now that's what it's on. And the next video, webinar, whatever you want to call it, is on empathy and sympathy. So that one might be a little bit longer. Might have to be 2 parts. I'll figure that out when it comes, but I just want to thank you so much for watching. Even if you just watch some of it, I appreciate it. And again, if you have any questions, my email is in the description. You can always email me, ask questions. But before you ask questions, I challenge you to ask the people around you. Talk to people on Facebook, social media. See what they have to say first, because I'm not the only person. I don't know everything about everything. I don't know everything about Girl Scouts, everything about writing a book. I was just sharing my experiences personally. So definitely reach out to other people. Maybe you know someone who published a book and you want to talk to them. Definitely reach out to them. So yeah, thank you so much for paying attention. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much.